Alright guys, today we're going to be on lesson 19. Check out the table of contents. So we're still in understanding fractions, and we'll be discussing using common numerators and denominators. Lesson 19, page 25. Alright, so the directions. Compare the fractions right less than, greater than, or equal to. So guys, there's a lot of different ways we can go at these problems. I'll just demonstrate a few different ways on each one. So the very first one, I know one of everyone's favorite methods is the butterfly method. Alright. 3 times 8 would give me 24. And 4 times 3 gives me a product of 12. 24 is greater than 12. So 3/4 is greater than 3/8. All right, number 2. 2/3 compared to 4/5. All right, on this one, I'm going to use the butterfly again. 2 times 5 is 10. 3 times 4 is 12. 10 is less than 12. So 2/3 is less than 4/5. All right, you have 1/5 and 2/10. On this one, I'm going to go ahead and draw a bar model. All right, and the first one I'm going to divide into fifths. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have fifths right there. Now remember, if you're ever comparing one fraction to another, your bar models have to be exactly the same size, or you cannot compare them. So you can see both of these are the same size, and let's go ahead and fill in 1/5 for the first one. All right, and then the second one, I'm going to go ahead and split into tenths. So there's going to be a total of 10 equal pieces. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, and then I'm going to fill in 2 tenths. There's 1, 2, and you can see both of these are exactly the same. So 1/5 is equivalent to 2/10. All right, number 4. You have 2/10 compared to 23/100ths. All right, on this one, I'm just going to add a 0 and go by the rule. Whenever your denominators are the same, look at your numerators, and whichever numerator is greater, that's your greater fraction. So 2/10 is less than 23/100ths. All right, number 5. On this one, I'm going to go ahead and create a bar model. You have fourths, 1, 2, 3, 4, and we have 3/4 shaded in. All right, and remember, whenever comparing fractions, your wholes have to be exactly the same size. So you can see our wholes are the same size. Let's go ahead and split this bottom one into eighths. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we can see that we have a total of 3, 1, 2, 3 fourths shaded in. And on this one right here, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then we have to add one more right here, so let's go ahead and shade this guy in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 eighths shaded in, and we can see that 7/8 is greater than 3/4. All right. Next one, you have 7/12, and you have 5/6. All right, on this one, I'm going to go ahead and use the butterfly. 7 times 6 gives me 42, and 5 times 12 gives me 60, and 42 is less than 60. So 7/12 is less than 5/6. So when I look at number 7, I notice something right away. I notice that 5 is half of 10, and I notice that 6 is half of 12. So automatically, I can see that these two will be equal to each other. These two are equivalent, and to check my work I can just use division. Whatever you do to your numerator you must do to your denominator, and 10 divided by 2 will give me 5, and 12 divided by 2 will give me 6. So I know these fractions are equivalent. They're equal to each other. Alright, so number 8. You have 53 hundredths compared to 1/2. I'm going to use 1/2 as a benchmark fraction. I know that 1/2, so when I'm looking at my numerator over here on 53 hundredths, I notice that 53 is 3 more than 50, and I know that 50 hundredths would be equal to 1/2. And since 53 is 3 more, I know this is going to be my greater fraction. So 53 hundredths is greater than 1/2. Alright, number 9, you have 2/8 compared to 9/12. On this one I'm going to use the butterfly. 8 times 9 gives me 72. 2 times 12 gives me 24. And I know that 24 is less than 72. So 2/8 is less than 9/12. I could also use 1/2 as a benchmark fraction here. I know 4/8 would be equal to 1/2, and I know that 6/12 would be equal to 1/2. And I can see that 9/12 is greater than 6/12, and I can see that 2/8 is less than 1/2. There's lots of different ways you can arrive at these answers here. I'm going to get a common denominator here, and my common denominator would be 12. In order to get 6 to 12, you'd multiply by 2. Whatever you do to your denominator, you must do to your numerator, and my new fraction would be 2/12. Now, whenever your denominators are the same, you look at your numerators, and whichever numerator is larger, that is your larger fraction. So 1/6 is less than 3/12. Number 11, you have 4/5 compared to 77 hundredths. On this one, I'm also going to get common denominators, and my common denominator would be 100. So to get 5 to 100, I would multiply by 20. And whatever you do to your denominator, you must do to your numerator. Let me make this a little bit bigger. So 4 times 20 will give me 80, and 5 times 20 will give me 100. My denominators are both 100, so I look at my numerators. Whichever numerator is larger, that is your larger fraction. So 4/5 is greater than 77 hundredths. All right, the next one. On this one, I'm going to go ahead and do a bar model. All right, we have. Just be careful whenever drawing out bar models. It can be difficult sometimes to get each one of these sections exactly the same size. So be very aware of that when doing a bar model. And I'm going to go ahead and shade in 1/3, or actually I'm going to go ahead and copy this so I know I have exactly the same hole as the other one. And let's go ahead and shade in 1/3. So the top one's going to be 1/3. And then the bottom one is going to be 5/12. So I need to divide this one into 12ths. I'm going to go ahead and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And I'm going to go ahead and shade in 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm going to go ahead and shade in 5/12. And then by looking at my bar model, I can see that 5/12 is greater. So 1/3 is less than 5/12. All right, number 13, you have 1/4 and you have 2/12. All right, this one I'm going to go ahead and get a common numerator. So I want to get my numerators to be the same. In order to get 1 to 2, I would multiply by 2. Whatever you do to your numerator, you must do to your denominator. Alright, so right here you'd have 2/8. Now, whenever your numerators are the same, you look at your denominators, and whichever denominator is smaller, that is going to be your larger fraction. So that's another trick to know there. But just to go ahead and check it, let me quickly go ahead and show you the bar model to show you that we are correct here. Let's go ahead and get our same holes. Alright, so the top one is going to be, let's see, 1/4. We're going to shade in 1/4 here. Alright, and then the bottom I'm going to need 12ths, so I'll have to divide each one of these fourths into thirds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And I know I'm going to have 2 12ths shaded in here. So 2 12ths shaded in. And I can see that 1/4 is greater than 2 12ths. So if I wanted to go ahead and find the equivalent fraction here, we can also break this into 8ths, and you can see that 2/8 is equivalent to 1/4. Now the reason, also just to see it using the bar model, we know that both have 2 shaded in here for our numerators, and we can see that 8 is our denominator here and 12 is our denominator here. I know that my 8ths will be larger pieces than my 12ths. So that's how, when you have your numerator being exactly the same, that's how you know when whatever denominator is smaller, that is going to be your larger fraction. So 1/4 is greater than 1/12. All right, number 14, you have 9/10 and 90 hundredths. Quickly just add my 0 here. We get common denominators. And you can see once we do that, we have common numerators, so they are equal to each other. And finally, number 15, easiest way here is to go ahead and get common denominators, which would be 6. And my new numerator would be 4 and 4. And whenever you have common denominators, look at your numerators, and whichever numerator is larger, that's your larger fraction. So 2/3 is greater than 3/6. And then number 16, show a model you can use to check your answer for problem 12. And we can see problem 12, we already did a model, set up the bar model to make sure that was correct. All right, guys, appreciate everybody watching today, man. Y'all are doing a great job. Let's keep up the good work. Lesson 19, we only have 4 more lessons to go. So I'm super proud of everybody's hard work, and look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow. All right, take care.